I was, you know, cleaning up some old reels, these old spinning reels that I've had for a while, and I thought this was a good opportunity to go ahead and talk about them. But if you're maybe like a new angler, someone who's just getting into the sport, and you're looking for some kind of beginner, budget-friendly equipment, then I think you should watch this video. So, spinning reels, it's not that exciting of a subject, I think, for a lot of people. There's a lot of spinning reel models out there, and most of them work pretty well, and you can find them at a ton of different price points. There are spinning reels that are $200 or $300, and there's spinning reels that are $15 and $20, and even those cheap ones can actually work reasonably well. But the model that I'm going to be talking about here today is the Pflueger Tryon series of spinning reels. I think this is a pretty common reel to see out there on the store shelf, at Walmart or like your local tackle shop. So I wanted to talk about these since they're pretty widespread and just give you an idea of what I think of them, because I've had these reels for a long time. I've caught a lot of fish on them. Now, I'm not going to say that these are necessarily perfect reels, but they do definitely perform. They do the job. They catch fish. Without further ado, let's get into it a little bit. So this one here, this is the very first spinning reel that I ever bought, actually. I got it as part of the Pflueger Tryon combo. You can get these spinning reels as part of a combo. So that's what I did when I wanted to pick up some spinning. And I think if you're a beginner and you don't really want to get too into the details of how individual reels or rods perform, then that's a good way to go and can help simplify things a lot for you. So this came on like a 6.5 foot medium spinning rod. And I actually liked the rod a lot. It was pretty comfortable and lightweight, but I guess the durability wasn't the best. I ended up, I think after maybe 6 months, I broke the rod. So maybe that's just something about the rod. Maybe it's just something about me and how I treat my gear. I'm not entirely sure. But the reel has lived on. I've had this reel, I think it was 2018 when I brought this reel, and it still works. The reel still works, so I think that's a testament to it in a way. 5:2-to-1 gear ratio reel here, and I think this is kind of like the equivalent of like the 3000 size reel, I'm guessing. I'll list the specific models that I have in the description. This is an older model. I don't think you can they actually produce this specific one anymore, or at least not this exact kind of color scheme. I think they're kind of more chrome looking now, the Pflueger Tryons. I don't think they have actually changed the statistics on these. So like I said, 5:2-to-1 gear ratio, that's more or less standard for a spinning reel. I think that speed is good for most applications, but you can really do most things on a spinning reel that you can do on a bait caster. It's just not going to be kind of as efficient. There are going to be a couple of things that are going to be a little bit tougher to do. Okay, so I'm looking here. This is the model here is Tri 35. That's the model that they're using here, the designation that they're using. And the line capacity listed here is 10-pound line, 10-pound mono, 155 yards. And that's what I use on my medium spinning reels. And I think that's what you should use if you're starting off. I might switch over to braid eventually, but for now that's what I use, and it works pretty well overall. See, this reel has a 7-bearing system, 7 ball bearings in this reel. And when I got this thing for the first time and was trying it out, it really felt great. Really nice and smooth operation on this reel. Now these aren't necessarily perfect. Now part of this, the issue that I'm going to talk about that I had with this specific reel, has to do with some operator error. So I didn't really, when I first was starting off fishing, I didn't understand the risks that came with dunking reels in the water, even in fresh water. So this reel got dunked a lot when I was using it in the beginning, starting off wading. And as a result, it started to get grindy. It started to lock up on me. Actually, there have been a couple of times where I haven't actually been able to turn the reel handle on this. So that's something you want to be aware of with these Pflueger Tryons. Whatever lubrication or grease or oil that they use in these, it does not respond to water very well. It kind of dissolves, I guess, in the water, and that leaves everything pretty dry. And it can cause the reel to get noisy, and it can cause it to stop being able to function. So I have had to put in some time kind of rectifying that. So be aware of that, especially if you're going to be wading, which is obviously what I do a lot of. So avoid dunking your reels as a general rule. But yeah, especially these Pflueger Tryons, whatever they have on the internals in here, it's not great. Even now, I mean, you can kind of hear it a little bit. It's not like super smooth anymore. You can feel and hear a little bit of a grinding happening. But I mean, it's not like anything serious right now. I still use this reel as kind of like a loaner, on like a sort of a backup combo for a friend or something. And it's caught fish this year. It's caught big bass this year. So I haven't really talked much about this one, the smaller one. I think this is the SP25. That's the model designation for this smaller one, and this was one of my ultralight reels for, I guess, a couple of years. This was my ultralight reel. Bought an ultralight combo to begin with, and after, for some reason around 6 months, it seems to be the first kind of stepping stone where equipment could potentially fail you. The really cheap reel that came with that combo fell apart, and I bought this to replace it, because overall I'd had a pretty good experience with this Tryon. So I thought, why not get another one? Same gear ratio on the smaller one. Line capacity here is 90 yards of 6-pound line, or 220 yards of 2-pound, and 110 yards of 4-pound. And that's what I use on this, is 4-pound monofilament. That's my ultralight line of choice, and I think it's going to be for the foreseeable future. I don't see any need to change that for ultralight fishing. Obviously when I got this reel, I kind of knew better about the dunking, or trying to at least avoid dunking it. But it's still, it happens, right? If you're wading, it happens every now and then. You're going to dunk your reel a little. So this one did, it never got to the point where it was locking up on me, but it did, after a while, it started getting a lot noisier. Once again, I think it lost some of that lubrication in there, and it really made a lot of kind of a scratching or squeaking sound on the retrieve. But yeah, this one I think I've had for 3 years now, 4 years maybe. And this one, yeah, I've had for 5. So the main issue with this one, and I don't know, I guess this was just a manufacturing defect with this particular reel. But if you look here, I'm going to try to open this up and see if I can show you. I don't know if there's actually a way you'll be able to see it, but if you're looking at this portion of the bail here, there's actually a little crack where that bail wire arm meets the line pickup. And with the small 4-pound test diameter line that I use, that crack was enough for the line to kind of get stuck in. And at first I didn't really notice it, but the line getting stuck right there, that creates a serious weak point for your line, a point of failure, where if you're hooking to a big fish and the fish makes a big run or something, that's going to be a weak spot. That little crack right there, that's going to weaken the line. The fish, I've had the line break off right here a few times before. I've had when some friends were using this reel, they just cast it a little bit too hard or too clumsily, and the line would just snap right there sometimes. So and that's just that's a significant flaw. I don't know if y'all are able to see it or not, but there's just a teeny tiny crack. Maybe I'll just take a photo of it and post it in the video. But that's not good at all. I mean, that's going to cost you fish. It has cost me fish. It's cost me lures. And so yeah, I ended up replacing this with actually a cheaper ultralight reel that's actually performed better in some ways than this did. I don't have too much more to say about these Pflueger Tryons. Like I said, it's a reel that's out there on the retail shelves. It's pretty commonplace to see, and I think these retail for around $50. It's a $50 reel, and I think, you know, when I bought this initially, the combo was $60. So I think, you know, since and even this one here, I think when I bought this it was $45. So they've increased the price on these a little bit over the years. And I'm not going to say that you're making a mistake buying these, but when it comes to spinning reels, I think there are some maybe some slightly more reliable options out there at like a $40 or $50 price point, and also reels that can maybe perform a little bit better here. If you have one of these, or you're thinking about getting one of these, I'm not necessarily saying it's a mistake, because I think it also kind of depends on the type of fishing that you're doing. You know, if you're not going to be wading a lot, then you don't have to worry that much about the reels getting dunked. Obviously, the crack in the bail arm on this smaller one is a significant problem, but so be aware of that. Be aware that there are some weaknesses here in these reels. Another final comment on these is the drag system, and I've actually feel like the drag system on these reels is pretty good. I think the max drag is like 9 or 10 pounds on this one. I'm not sure about this one. I'll try to list the stats on these in the description of the video if you want to know everything a little bit better. But at the end of the day, these reels are still part of my arsenal, right? They're not part of what I use on a day-to-day basis, but this reel functions perfectly well for friends. And this one, you know, I'll still, if I'm taking friends ultralight, this will still be the one that I use. You know, the crack here, since I'm aware of it, I can kind of compensate for it and sort of avoid that issue, but it's still like an annoying hassle. So the last thing I guess I want to note on these is the construction itself. So these reels, the rotor and the body here is graphite. And I've never noticed like any kind of major flexing or anything with these. Maybe a little bit, but pretty much every reel at this price point is going to be graphite, as far as I know anyway. And the spool itself and the handle arm and the bail wire, that is aluminum. So those are metal parts, and they've held up well. Final thing to note here, and another thing that's not particularly nice about these, are the handles. Now, if you look at the description of these online, they'll say this is a soft touch knob, and I don't know what the heck they're talking about when they say soft touch knob, because this is just a piece of plastic. I mean, I guess there's a bearing in there that is spinning pretty nicely since I just oiled these up, but it's not rubberized, it's not EVA or anything with a good grip to it. So these are not particularly nice or comfortable or anything. They don't have any grooves or anything on them. So that's really the last thing I have to say about them. But I think there are probably some slightly better options out there. Take that for what you will. You know, if you just bought one, don't feel bad about it. It's not a mistake. But you know, shop around a little bit. You might be surprised at what else you can find out there, because there are a lot of good spinning reels on the market. So with that being said, if you have made it this far in the video, you should subscribe to the channel. Got weekly fishing videos coming out, like cross-country bank angler, wade fishing, ultralight fishing, bass fishing, lure fishing. So if that's the type of content you want to see, then you know what to do. Thanks for watching.